about the oh, thank you, Jenny.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. Go ahead, go ahead.
Okay. Okay, so the last session is about getting all the experiences to learn about responsible consumption, but it's more like having everyone's comments and reflections and actions and as a wrap up once we have like been through all these kind of topics and sharing what we think and know, this is a kind of sharing experience session in which contents it's only like talking about your personal experience. It could be local or regional experience. And we have a suggestion here that is maybe if someone knows a person who can share any kind of experience about this topic, maybe part of the audience or the facilitator, that could be like inviting someone to share. Maybe someone that is already working in one project and want to share something about that, or someone that is uh, working or planning about solidarity economy, or someone that maybe went to some place and was a part of a project. It's just a suggestion because it also can be like a survey or interview people from your context, like having experiences from your family, your friends, like a kind of survey that you like to share. We can also have like the same kind of questions in the survey, so we can share the different answers that we have in our communities. That is also a choice. If we don't know anyone to invite to the last session, we can also make part of the community, make part of this last session as an experience and sharing not only our voices, but maybe family or friends. And then we were thinking about maybe have more information about this uh, through other lenses or points of view. So it's the last session is about only sharing. So we have those options like inviting someone, or we can also do surveys.
Well, I
And
like the way that you begin it with a personal experience, because
Mhm.
I was trying to put myself in the shoes of somebody who would be taking this class. And I thought, from my personal experience, I think in terms of responsible consumption, the fact that I've chosen to be vegan and I only eat plant-based foods, and I'm doing it for ethical reasons, not for dietary reasons. So, it's nice to, if you have a group of people, if they all share their personal experiences, and then you can build up to the local, the regional, and then the international is great if you have somebody who has that kind of experience.
Yes, yes, or maybe if someone cannot be like online, they can be recorded like a kind of interview, like interview someone in your community that is involved in one of these activities, and that would be so great too, because we are sharing what other people is sharing in the session. So yes.
And we could come and share it, right? Right here, like it would be the time, like a short video and share it right now and have this person.
Yes,
Yeah.
like 1 or 2 minute video. Like
Mhm.
me, in my students, we have this kind of advertising campaign, but it's about changing minds. And they know they have only 3 minutes to interview people from the streets, to have their like original goal of the project, and the closing that is going to be like a kind of reflection about what can you do to change reality. And those are like very short videos, and they can be working in one video to share like a kind of an interview and to share to the rest of the members of the session. It's so interesting because you're like, oh, he's going, who did you interview? and you're like, oh, I was recording my family or my friends, or I was in the street, and suddenly I find this kind of local market, like organic, and I was asking the people what are they interested in selling those kind of products, where they get them, and yes, that could be like so many information, fresh information, update information, and very interesting to share. And it's
This also
local.
ties in the preceding modules too. You know, that's what I liked about it.
Hmm. Yes, we can do that kind of activity. I mean, that would be great if we have like an international expert, but maybe we don't know one. But if we know someone that practices are talking about what is a responsible consumption, we don't need that kind of international people. If you do practice that, and we can share it. Little actions are actions. I mean, but I mean international because every single member of the session share, that is going to be an international sharing about local, but it's international anyway. So those are like the contents, the original contents. And of course, we have the question. We were talking about the Paulo Freire methodology that is about reflection through questions, like making you think about what you know, the way you know, or the way you think about something, and then listen to other people like points of view. And in the sharing is the methodology, in the reflection. So we have again the question, like a kind of are a little bit different from the rest of the questions that we have had. Like here we have, how do you think your responsible consumption can be a conscious, ethical, and critical action? I mean, like if you are aware about you are doing, or aware about what you weren't doing. So what?
Just like Mary was saying, no, about being vegan. That's the reason when
Yeah,
she.
like about being vegan, or buy local, the organic food, or saying no to fast food restaurants. That kind of
I liked these questions very much, especially like the last three. You know, is it the responsibility of the government? And how does your church practice responsible consumption? I mean, I think that gives people a pause to think about things. And, you know, how has your religious tradition driven your activism? I think those are great questions.
Yes, like for example, in these holidays, do you practice responsible consumption in your community, in your church? How do they practice this? Are they consumers, or they like share instead of buying things? Or what is the message that you get from your church or your religious communication in these kind of holidays? Like the Thanksgiving? What was the real goal of the Thanksgiving? It was like more spiritual, or was it related to the Black Friday? So because it's very close, I think, no? Like in times, you have the Thanksgiving, and in a few days, then you have the Black Friday.
Right.
So it's like,
Yeah. Right the next day.
mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, like think about that, and sharing what you think about this. Nobody has like the 1% of the truth, but by sharing your reflection, it is when the maybe the truth appears, or you
Yeah.
realize that maybe you weren't doing things right.
And
Yeah,
it's
so
about your choice and who you are with, or who your choice of consumption and the people you are with, right? When we were in the Ignatian teaching, I went to one of the breakup presentations that was about fashion, and it was very interesting because it's all about the how nowadays we might have lots and lots of clothes that are cheap and fast made, but that they pollute a lot. And back a lot time, like back before, like it was little, but it was local and it was more durable. And how we really need to think about all the clothes, for example, that ends up in the Acatama desert that is not even used, that they just go and throw it there.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and we can also talk about food, the responsible consumption in food, technology, sports, entertainment, everything. And then in the sharing, we're going to see the difference between the maybe a first word and a word that is in process of being economically like wealth. So yes, that is going to be so interesting. Or
One
how
of
do
the
you,
things that I thought about was in the church that I go to, at Thanksgiving time, they have a food drive for people who are less fortunate or
Mm.
food insecure. They have what they call an angel giving tree where they buy presents for children who might not,
oh,
get presents at Christmas time. They have, adopt a family so that you buy for an entire family. They have
Mm.
another initiative, which is an outreach to a local nursing home. And I'm thinking, why do we have to wait for the holidays to
Yeah.
have that kind of a community outreach? Couldn't we incorporate that all year long?
mhm.
I mean, it's very nice that we do it now, and I'm happy to participate, but I just thought it would be nice if there was a way we could do it every day, not just on special holidays.
Yes,
Agree.
because people has needs like the rest of the year too, not only in
Right.
Christmas. Uh-huh. Yes. And when I was seeing Sean, I was thinking too about how do we take of our pets? It's very different in some cultures. And the
Yeah.
money you spend in your pets is also related in what you earn in your job.
Sure.
Uh-huh. So yes, it's
And
a
also
lot.
the choice of buying or adopting, right? Like
Uh-huh. Buying or adopting.
Right.
Uh-huh. Animals that are living in the streets, some dogs, cats, and they don't have, we as a society, I'm talking about the place where I live, we don't have that kind of reflection about taking care of the less fortunate uh, pets and the refugees. Is that the right
Right.
term?
yeah.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. We have we used to have an animal refugee, but it was closed because people stopped giving money for the food. So they quit
Mm.
doing that because they need
Mhm.
to work in another thing. So we don't need to, they're spending their time taking care about uh other lives that are like the dogs and the cats. And we need to be like more sensitive about this kind of topic. And they
Right.
close. So there is no one out there taking care of the animals of the streets here where I live. So that's very sad because it maybe it doesn't, it is not about money. It is about how I see that my help is needed or not as a
Well, I think
society.
it's about attitudes
Mm-hmm.
and, the recognition that all sentient beings have needs, not just people, but animals as well. And, what's
Yes.
our role as stewards of the earth? If you look to the scriptures, Adam and Eve were told to name the animals, and naming them was giving them dominion of the animals. And there's a responsibility that comes with that stewardship. If you have the right to name an animal, you have a responsibility to care for it as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's a live one you have in your hand. So,
Yeah.
yes. So, well, these are the warm-up questions to share and talking about that. I have no idea on maybe the time that we're going to spend sharing because we only know when we're there. And it depends of the size of the group, of the members of the group. And here we also have another questions. Like, are you a conscious consumer and why? What do you think you are or you're not? Are you a critical thinking consumer? Maybe there we'll be talking about brands, about the impact of every buy, or if they care or they don't care, or they think about the origin of the food, for example, or where the money goes. Here, what I try to think all the time is when I buy something, the money is going to a local company or to people that are local or to an international company.
Mhm.
So it's a good thing that we don't have Walmart in the place where I live. That would be so bad for the little for the people that has a little business and they sell groceries. And that's their way of living, selling groceries all the time. If you want some tomatoes, you go there. You want some toothpaste, you go there. But these are like very family stores. Yeah, well, and then we have, do you think you are an ethical consumer? Is oriented about what is right or wrong? Do you think your consumption is ecological? Why? Maybe about talking about your practices when you buy, or what do you do with the garbage, for example? Do you split the garbage? Do you think about the garbage that you're generating? Or maybe when you think even before you buy things about the garbage that you're about to generate? And then we have, do you think your consumption is healthy? Maybe not only about food, but for example, the entertainment. How do you entertain yourself? Is that good for your body, for your soul, for your mind? Is that healthy for you? Because maybe some are like more like going to have fun and with practices that are not that healthy, but who knows? And then we have, do you think your consumption is sustainable? I'm talking about the green action. And do you think your consumption is supportive? In this question, supportive is like when if you think like a community with your actions as a consumer, or you are like more like selfish, like I don't care. I just need another cell phone and it's about me, my needs, what I want, it's my money, and I don't care about the impact. And we have, do you think your consumption is socially equitable and why? So these are the questions that we're going to share, the answers to make it like richer in the information. Do you think they are like a lot, Mary, or are like
I think they're all important, and I think some may have more discussion than others. And I think that's going to vary with whatever group you have. So
mhm,
the only thing I would say is that the facilitator has to be flexible.
yeah.
I know when I taught, I would prepare a lesson, and I would think, boy, they're really going to get over this, and they really like it. And they was like, yeah, all right, now what? And you'd come on some esoteric fact, and that really honed in on them. One of the assignments I used to give, I taught a computer and healthcare class, and they had to read for an assignment an article about using automation in healthcare. And I had an elderly woman who was in the class. She was a nurse. She was older than everybody else. She was a German immigrant to the United States during the time of World War II. And she asked me if she could do it on a book instead of, just a magazine article. And I said, sure, if you want to, that's fine. And what she used was the topic of artificial intelligence on sexual dysfunction and quadriplegia. And she told how you could use computers to simulate sex in people that were quadriplegic who had no muscle tone or no neural activity below the waist. And she really got into it. She did a wonderful presentation. It was engaging to the class. So she took the assignment to the next level. And, I let her run with it because it was on topic. The class was engaged, and it went a little bit off the beaten track from where I was headed, but it stuck to the topic. It was a different application of it, but it worked. So I think the facilitator has to know what's working and what's not. And I think
mhm.
that's going to change with each group that you do this with.
Yes, yes. It has to be like very easygoing, respectful, and a good listener, and problem solving, and reading the environment so quickly as he's
Yeah, I think
listening
you have
to.
to go with the flow, but you have to be
Uh-huh.
able to say if somebody is going way off topic and they have nothing, you have to kind of steer them back to it again. But if somebody
Mhm.
is really engaged and the rest of the class is interested in what they have to say, you can enhance that as a facilitator.
Mhm. Yes, yes. Thank you so much, Mary. Well, and then we have this idea about an activity or a practice that is in teams. It could be in teams of two people. A role play in teams is because we're going to share the opinion. We're going to pretend that something different from the rest of the group. And one role is going to be about the responsible consumers, and the other role is about consumerism. And each one is going like to give their points of view about why do they think some of the actions are good and some of the actions are not that good. I mean, and why is the role play? Because in the role play is a reflection, even if you don't want to be a part, for example, of the consumerism, you are thinking about how you can justify other people's action by being a consumerism person. And well, it was like from the beginning of the designing of this topic that the role play is very rich when you think about yourself, about doing actions that in real life you will never do. That way you can know more about you when someone tells you, like in a soap opera or a play, that you have to be a part of something that even maybe you don't understand or you are not agree with, but is the sharing and the reflection that is there in that activity. So I don't know what you think about this.
I think it's a good idea because even if somebody is exaggerating in the role playing, it certainly is highlighting a point of view or an action, you know?
Yes. Yes, and we can also like have a little fun and this or that with the reflection, and the role play helps like to be, maybe you can do something that maybe the one that is very quiet in the sessions, in the rest of the sessions, you can find that in this activity is so like outgoing because they are playing another role play that is
Yeah.
not that like the real life. So yes, we can like try
Well,
do
when you were talking, I was thinking, in terms of the street dogs in Mexico. Um, I mean, I look at this dog in my lap right now. He has more toys than a lot of children. He has more outfits than a lot of children. And is that
Mhm.
really responsible consumption on my part to be buying him more of that? Should I be spending my money and maybe contributing it to a shelter in Mexico to take dogs in off the streets? That would be a much more humane thing to do. I mean, he doesn't need another sweater or another bow tie for his collar. He doesn't need another stuffed animal. But the money that I spend on that could certainly be shifted to another animal cause that would be more helpful and more impactful.
Yes, or maybe that a sweater you were going to buy represents two big bags of food
Yeah,
for a
for an
shelter.
animal that doesn't have some.
Yes. Oh, yes, that is good. A good reflection. Okay, so well, this is like the practice in which I'm not like pretty sure is that we can do the role play being online or maybe like at the beginning of the session say, okay, we're gonna have a practice, we're gonna split the group. Some of you are going to be consumers, the rest are gonna be consumerism, and you are going to say about why you do you think what you do is right,
Mm-hmm.
the rest of the other group. And as we are like talking, maybe we can give like 5 minutes so they can be together, because in the Zoom, you can also make group, right, Jenny? We can also like make groups, so you can be like with your people planning and talking about what you are going to do, and then
Yeah, we can break out
reintegrate
sessions.
uh-huh, and then we can be together after maybe 10 minutes to listen to each group what they think about what they do, they think is the right action. So yes, we can do that in the same session, I think. We can do the role play, we can do the questions, and we also can do the sharing of maybe the video with the interview of a local people, or inviting someone to share their experience about any kind of action about responsible consumption. Mhm.
You know,
It
one
is-
of the things that I did with the class, and it was really about leadership. I told them that they were stranded on a desert island, and you know that they were able to bring 3 things with them. And I gave them a list of maybe a dozen things, and some of it was silly stuff like a bottle of wine, a bag of sandwiches, a book of matches, and what would you use when you were stranded. And the Boy Scouts actually had the 3 things that you should have brought with you. But it was interesting to see in the group discussion who emerged as a leader, who was able to convince the others. And I just thought if you had like just a grocery store with a bunch of stuff and said, you know, what are you going to buy as a responsible consumer? What is, you know, representing consumerism to you? And have them pick it out like a game, kind of, and just see what they pick and how they justify it. And, you know, it could be less threatening than if they had to stand up and say, this is what I would do, if they were doing it as a group.
Mhm. Did they have a budget, Mary, like to do that? Like, okay, you have that money and
No, there was
spend.
no budget. It was just a simulation. It was a tabletop exercise. I gave them one 8x11 sheet and said, you know, you've gone out on a boat. A storm came up. You're now stranded on a desert island. Before the boat sinks, you get to bring, you know, some of these items with you.
Mhm.
And I listed a dozen of them, and they could pick out 3. And what do you want to
Mhm.
bring with you? And it really didn't matter to me what they chose, but it was the group dynamic that evolved. Like, who was the leader? Who was the one who just went along with everybody else? How do they justify the choices that they made? You know, what was their expectation? If they thought they were going to be rescued quickly, then some of them went with the bottle of wine. Others
Mhm.
chose not to bring the bottle of wine because they didn't have a corkscrew. Some people wanted sandwiches. Some people thought they were going to be there for a long time, so they wanted the book of matches. So it was all
Mhm.
about the expectation, and I gave them as little information as possible, so they formulated those expectations in their mind and then acted accordingly. So you could do a similar thing in a grocery store setting. You
Yeah.
know, you have 5 minutes to shop, get what you need, and what are you picking out and why?
Mhm.
And you could give them a list of certain things. You know, do they need a
Mhm.
bottle of champagne or do they need milk? Do you have
Mhm.
children or not? You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that is a great idea. Yes, thank you so much. And it's going to be fun, and it's going to be reflective,
It
and
also
it's going
gets
to
them
be
working
deep.
as a group. And, you know, if they were
Mhm.
shy before, they're now talking to each other, they're interacting. So it kind of sets the tone for the rest of the class, too.
Uh-huh. For example, what about the ice-breaking activities? Do you think those are necessary? We haven't been talking about this, but I think
Well, this is
sometimes,
the last session, right? So by this time, the ice should be
uh-huh,
broken,
but
you
at
know?
the beginning,
Yeah. Um,
maybe some ice-breaking, like telling something about yourself, or
Well, you know
sharing a
what? You could
picture.
actually use this in the beginning and then repeat it at the end and see what the change is.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You know, sometimes if you're teaching a class, you give them a pretest and say, you know, just put down the answers that you think are right. And then at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
class, after you've covered the material, give them the same pretest again and see how well they've done.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Very good. And Mary, what do you think about the questionnaire that I send you every time we have a session? Do you think that is good for when it's going to be the sessions, the real sessions? The feedback, do you think it's good like in after every session or maybe at the end of the whole sessions?
You know, I would do it after each session because if
Mhm.
somebody has a problem or a suggestion early on, it gives the facilitator a chance to incorporate recognition of that suggestion and maybe be able to work it into the presentation. If you wait
Mhm.
until the end, you kind of dilute your own opportunity to address whatever issue was brought up.
Yes, and
And
the
I mean,
information is fresh, right?
yeah, and it didn't take long to fill out the questionnaire. So I
Mhm.
would think that if they spent 5 or 10 minutes on it at the end of every session, it could be beneficial.
Mhm. Okay. And what do you think about the time? Do you think 1 hour it's okay or it's a lot of it can be maybe 1 hour and a half? Because maybe sometimes the group is
Yeah,
a little bit tired or it depends on the way you see the group.
it also depends on how many people are in the group. If you only have
Uh-huh.
5 people in the group, then, I mean, the sharing is gonna go faster necessarily. If you have
Mhm.
20 people in the group, it could take a little bit longer.
Yes.
So you may wanna determine before you even offer this to anybody, what's the maximum capacity of the class? What
Mhm.
size group do you think is best?
Yes. I think from 10 to maximum 15, and that's a lot
Yeah,
because of the way of the methodology.
and I don't
It's
know
not
that I
like
would go past an hour and a half, because
Mhm.
then I think you tend to lose people.
Yes. Okay. Yes, I'm taking notes because I have these like kind of questions about the methodology and the timing. And then we have here more resources. If someone wants to go deeper in some kind of information, we have some websites where they can find a lot of actions that what is going out there in the world about people doing something about responsible consumption. But we didn't talk about this, about what other people were actually doing because we wanted the reflection first. But I can
Mhm.
take some of these kind of sources to like as a warm-up example as the last no the other session that we were talking about how good is like to give one example to make people been thinking about a specific item or a specific topic so they can share.
Mhm.
So I can find in these original sources about what is happening, updating actions, so they can see what is happening in the world about responsible consumption and they can get inspired. I can do that. Uh-huh. I can
And
go
I'm
through.
sure that everybody will be familiar with the last one, the planned obsolescence. IBM is
Mm-hmm.
notorious for that. All of the computer equipment that people have, they're all going to upgrading to the next biggest, best, piece of equipment. So that's a planned obsolescence. And, as a consumer, do you buy into that, or do you say I can get more value out of the one I currently have?
Mm-hmm. Or for example, my mom says all the time that the toys are not made as the same material as that when she was like a kid because
Yeah,
it was all everything like wooden, and they were like stronger toys and now
it
they're
lasts
plastic.
forever, sure.
Uh-huh, yes, and now they don't last. I mean, that's because they're following this kind of objective that is the planned obsolescence. Yeah. Yes, and we can be talking about this as a little example, maybe like to put and let it go and to see how they react and what do they
Mhm.
think about this. Uh-huh. Yes, and that was the end of the fifth session. So
I think you've done a wonderful job with this, Boris. You really put a lot of thought and time and talent into putting this together. So give
oh,
yourself a pat on the back.
okay. Thank you so much. Yes, we're so exciting because we are having a meeting in a couple of weeks, I think, and we're going to share all these experiences. So imagine some are like want to share like they have never been in Zoom sharing
Oh, wow.
anything, and they're going to share that how was the experience with technology by facilitating with other people. What about the language? Because for example, me, I think I'm the only one that it's supposed I was going to facilitate in Spanish, but I decided to facilitate in English too because I have a team of in the designing. I was a team of one,
Uh,
right, Jenny? And this team of one is it's Spanish native speaker. So and I'm going to share that you were so kind and in the language it wasn't a problem
no,
because
I think your English is a lot better than my Spanish, so it was very easy to listen.
Thank you so much. So yes, and we have a lot of uh a little change here, there, and we have a lot of ideas because of you, because of your time and your reflection, and I think that is like it is priceless what you did with this pilot project because we
I
were.
thought it was a lot of fun to participate in this. I'd be happy to do it again. I would love to see your finished product. You know, if you need any help with touching up English, if you're a little concerned about that, I'd be happy to review it for you.
Oh,
You know,
thank you so much. Yes, and you're invited to the final.
okay,
Yeah. And if
Uh-huh.
you're interested also in facilitating, one of the, yeah, like that could be like maybe not right away, but you know, um, in the next one, perhaps that'd
sure.
be
Yes, yes, Mary, would you be interested?
Yeah, I'm happy to help out.
okay.
Yeah.
Sure. That's
Uh-huh. Yes.
great.
Once you have like the all the guidance, the methodology and the all that we need to start, maybe you can try. Uh-huh.
Sure.
I think you're
That's
gonna
great,
do that
Mary.
so well because you have a lot of experience in so
Yes.
many things. That you can share and you have like the this strong spirit like to be a listener and to be there and to be as well as when you say that maybe something can be better, you say that like in a very nice way.
Oh, well, good. I'm
And I
glad.
appreciate that. Yes, thank you so much. So, well, Jenny, this was like the end of the last session. We have been
Yeah.
recording all the sessions so we can have like the all the information, and now we have a lot of work to do.
Yes. Sorry, I got a little cut off. I had to come pick up my son to soccer, but I was listening and driving and at the same time, and
Yeah, don't
for a bit
worry, don't worry.
I don't know why I lost connectivity, but I was happy to hear too, and because it's useful. I mean, the recordings are very useful, but it's also useful to be able to participate and or to say in live time is always better.
Yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you
Well,
so
I
much.
wish both of you ladies a wonderful holiday season, the Feliz Navidad, to
Thank you.
both
Oh,
of you and your
So
gracias.
families.
have a really good one, Mary.
Yes, you too.
Thank
Merry
you.
Merry Christmas to you and to Sean.